brightening agents. Table of contents. The table of contents of this lecture are classification of optical brightening agents, basic types of whiteners, factor influencing whitening process, effect of pH, effect of temperature, effect of time, establishing a rapid PET steam process. Classification of optical brightening agents. So how optical brightening agents are classified? The classification of optical brightening agents OBA can be either on the chemical structure of the brightener or on its method of application. They can be classified into two large groups according to their use. So the optical brightening agents are classified on the basis of the chemical structure of the brightener and on the basis of its method of application. So the classification based upon the brightener's chemical structure and its method of application. They are classified into two large groups based on their use. Direct substantive brightener and dispersed brightener. So first group of the classification of optical brightening agents is direct substantive brightener. Direct optical brightening agents are predominantly water-soluble substance used for brightening of natural fibers and occasionally for synthetic material such as polyamide. So the direct substantive brighteners are water-soluble. What is the use of direct optical brightening agents? The use of the direct optical brightening agents is to brighten or whiten the natural fibers as well as the synthetic materials. The direct optical brightening agents are used for the brightening of the natural fibers most of the time, and they are used for brightening or whitening the synthetic materials occasionally. So sometimes the direct optical brightening agents are used for whitening or brightening the synthetic materials such as polyamide. The second group of the classification of optical brightening agents is dispersed optical brightening agents. Dispersed optical brightening agents are mainly water insoluble, and as we disperse dyes, they are applied either to the colored form and are used for synthetic materials such as polyamide, polyester acetate, polyvinyl chloride, and occasionally for paper. So the dispersed optical brightening agents are mainly water insoluble. And they are used to dye the colored fabrics and synthetic materials such as polyamide, polyester, polyvinyl chloride, and paper. So mostly they are used to color the synthetic materials such as polyamide and polyester etc. And they are occasionally used to dye the paper. So the basic difference of the direct optical brightening agents and the dispersed optical brightening agents is that The optical brightening agents are water-soluble substances, while the dispersed optical brightening agents are water-insoluble. And the direct optical brightening agents are used for brightening the natural fibers and sometimes for synthetic materials, while the dispersed optical brightening agents are used to dye the synthetic materials. How optical brightening agents are classified on the basis of their chemical structure. From the chemical point of view, they are classified according to their chemical structure. So from chemical point of view, we can classify optical brightening agents according to their chemical structure. Chemical optical brightening agents are classified into derivatives of stilbene, coumarin, 1,3-diphenyl pyrazolene, derivatives of naphthalene dicarboxylic acid, derivatives of heterocyclic dicarboxylic acid, derivatives of cinnamic acid and substance belonging to other chemical systems. So, from chemical point of view, we can classify optical brightening agents into the derivatives of stilbene, coumarin, 1,3-diphenyl pyrazolene, derivatives of naphthalene dicarboxylic acids, heterocyclic dicarboxylic acid, cinnamic acid, and the substance belonging to other chemical systems. The stilbene and coumarin has wide number of applications. They are also used in the optical brightening agents as a major component. Stilbene is used in the manufacture of dyes and optical brighteners. The coumarin is a compound of cinnamon that has been reported to possess pharmacological activity such as antibacterial, antioxidant, and anti-cancer properties. So coumarin possesses antioxidant, antibacterial, and anti-cancer properties, as well as it also used in the manufacturing of the optical brightening agents. Basic types of whiteners. So what are the basic types of whiteners? Basic class types of whiteners include triazine stilbene, ditetra or hexasulfonated, coumarins, imidazolines, diazoles, triazoles, benzoxazolines, and biphenyl stilbenes. So there are 7 basic classes of brighteners. Number 1 is triazine stilbene, number 2 is coumarins, number 3 is imidazolines, number 4 is diazoles, number 5 is the triazoles, number 6 is the benzoxazolines, and number 7 is the biphenyl stilbenes. Factors influencing whitening process. So what are the factors which influence the process of whitening? The factors influencing whitening process are as follows: pH of the bath, temperature of the bath, time required for the process. So what would be the effect of pH on bath if we increase the pH, or if we decrease the pH? What would be the effect of change in pH on the process of whitening? What would be the effect of temperature of the bath? So if we increase the temperature or if we decrease the temperature, so what would be the effect of temperature on the process of whitening? Time required for the process. So which is a suitable time for the process of whitening. Effect of pH. So what would be the effect of pH on the process of whitening? If we change the pH, how it affects the whitening process? The stability of hydrogen peroxide depends on pH. At pH 1 to 3, it is stable, but at highly alkaline pH 11.5 to 13, it is least stable. The bleaching takes place around 10.5 due to accumulation of perhydroxyl ions in the bleaching bath. The stability of hydrogen peroxides depends on the pH. When the pH ranges 1 to 3, it is stable. It is least stable on pH 11.5 to 13. So it is highly alkaline pH 11.5 to 13 on which the hydrogen peroxide is least stable. The process of bleaching takes place around the pH of 10.5 because it causes the accumulation of perhydroxyl ions in the bleaching bath. So, at pH around 10.5, the accumulation of perhydroxyl ion in the bleaching bath takes place. At neutral or weak alkaline media, the hydrogen peroxide does not produce any whitening effect and may cause degradation of cellulose. So, if the pH is neutral or weak, it falls on the alkaline media, or at very low or weak pH, the whitening effect may not be produced because on low pH or at the neutral pH, the hydrogen peroxide does not produce any whitening effect and the hydrogen peroxide causes the degradation of cellulose at neutral or weak alkaline media. So that's how the change of pH would affect the entire process of whitening. Effect of temperature. So what would be the effect of temperature on the process of whitening? The hydrogen peroxide is act as a bleaching agent. It is less toxic than chlorine bleach, making them safe for most fabrics and dyes. Hydrogen peroxide will whiten and brighten the cloths, disinfect laundry and remove stains. Pour hydrogen peroxide directly on the stains such as blood, it will remove the stains. In practice, cotton bleaching with hydrogen peroxide is carried out at 90 to 100 degrees centigrade. But the temperature may be increased to 120 degrees centigrade in the case of pressurized equipment with a corresponding reduction in process time. If we want to perform the bleaching action of a cotton with hydrogen peroxide, the temperature will be kept at 90 to 100 degrees centigrade. The hydrogen peroxide is act as a bleaching agent, so it will remove the stains from the cotton, and it will whiten and brighten the cloths and the cotton fabrics. So if the bleaching action of cotton would take place with hydrogen peroxide at the temperature of 90 to 100 degrees centigrade, we may also increase the temperature up to 120 degrees centigrade. If we are using a pressurized equipment, it will corresponding reduce the entire timing process. So to perform a bleaching action of a cotton with hydrogen peroxide, the temperature will be kept at 90 to 100 degrees centigrade. But temperature may also be increased up to 120 degrees centigrade if you are using a pressurized equipment. This pressurized equipment will reduce the timing of the bleaching process. The rate of bleaching increases with increasing temperature. How? The rate of bleaching increases with the increase in temperature, but at the same time solution becomes unstable and degradation of cotton increases. So what would be the effect of temperature on bleaching process? If we increase the temperature, the bleaching process may also increase. But it has a disadvantage that the solution becomes unstable and the degradation of fabric such as cotton or the textile materials increases. Because the bleaching process would damage the fabrics such as cotton at higher temperature. Better bleaching occurs at 90 to 100 degrees centigrade. This feature makes it ideal for continuous operation using insulated J boxes or open width streamers. So how we can perform the ideal bleaching action? The ideal bleaching action would take place at the temperature of 95 to 100 degrees centigrade. To perform the bleaching action at 95 to 100 degrees centigrade, we can choose the continuous operations such as insulated J boxes or open width streamers. So by using the insulated J boxes or the open width streamers, the ideal bleaching takes place at the temperature of 95 to 100 degrees centigrade. Below 80 degrees centigrade, the evolution of perhydroxyl ion is very slow, so also the rate of bleaching. So what would be the effect of low temperature on the process of bleaching? At low temperature such as 80 degrees centigrade, the evolution of perhydroxyl ion is very slow, so the rate of bleaching also very slow. So to perform the ideal bleaching action or the whitening process, we must have to keep the temperature ideal at 95 to 100 degrees centigrade. Effect of time. So what would be the effect of time on the process of whitening? The time required to bleach with hydrogen peroxide depends on temperature, class of fiber, equipment used for bleaching. So, the time required to bleach with the hydrogen peroxide depends upon the temperature, class of fiber, and the equipment which is used for the bleaching purposes. So, it matters that the temperature would be accurate, the class of fibers, and the equipment is accurate which we are using for bleaching. So these all factors would affect the time of the bleaching process or the whitening process. In general, the time for bleaching is inversely proportional to the temperature of the bleaching bath. So the time is directly proportional to the temperature of the bleaching bath. If we increase the temperature by increasing the temperature, the time would also be increased. And by decreasing the temperature, the time would also be decreased. Usually 18 to 24 hours for cold pad batch and 10 to 20 minutes for continuous streaming. So to perform the bleaching action, mostly the cold pad batches and the continuous streaming are used. The time required for the cold pad batch is 18 to 24 hours. So in 18 to 24 hours, the bleaching would be performed in the cold pad batch. For continuous streaming, the bleaching time would be 10 to 20 minutes. So in 10 to 20 minutes, we could perform the action of a bleaching in the continuous system or the continuous process. How we use the pad stream bleaching? The pad stream bleaching has many advantages. Pad stream bleaching achieves a higher degree of white with less production cost compared to the traditional discontinuous overflow technology. The pad stream bleaching has following advantages. It produces high reproducibility, product homogeneity, low fiber loss, no enzymatic biopolishing would take place. It would make shiny and improve fabric surface. In pad stream bleaching, low water, steam and power consumption is required. So due to various advantages of the pad stream bleaching, we could prefer it for the bleaching purposes. In cold batch bleaching system or the cold pad batch peroxide bleaching system, the quality of fabric that had been cold bleached does not have to be different from any other bleaching process. So the cold bed bleaching process is same as the other bleaching process. There is no different from the other bleaching process. But it has many advantages, so that's why we prefer the cold pad bleaching process over the other bleaching processes. Establishing a rapid pad steam process for bleaching of cotton fabric. How we can establish a rapid pad steam process for bleaching of the cotton fabric. Bleaching of cotton fabric with hydrogen peroxide H2O2 is conventionally carried out under high temperature and strong alkaline conditions, for which the pad steam process can be employed to present the benefits in lowering water and chemical consumptions. So to perform the rapid pad steam process, we need the hydrogen peroxide H2O2, and this process would be carried out at high temperature and strong alkaline conditions. So to carry out the rapid pad steam process, we must have to maintain the high temperature and strong alkaline conditions under which this process would take place. There are many benefits of the rapid pad steam process. In this process, the low water and chemical consumptions are required. A notable drawback observed with the pad steam process for bleaching of cotton fabric with H2O2 is that although the cotton fabric is bleached to an acceptable whiteness, it is required to dwell in steam for almost an hour, causing tremendous energy consumptions as well as extensive damage to the cotton fabrics. So there are many drawbacks of the rapid pad steam process. It also has many advantages like high reproducibility, product homogeneity, like product remains same, it would not be changed after the bleaching process, low fiber loss, we can improve the fabric surface and we attain the shiny fabric surface by using the rapid pad steam process. As well as in this process, low water, steam and power consumptions are required. So there are many advantages of this process. So there are some drawbacks of this process. In this process, we use the hydrogen peroxide H2O2 for the bleaching purposes of the cotton fabrics. By using this process, we can achieve the cotton fabric to an acceptable whiteness. So by using this process, we can make the fabric whiter and brighter. But this process has drawback that it requires a dwell in steam and the process of steam would take place about an hour. And this steam would cause a tremendous energy consumption as well as it would damage the cotton fabrics. So in this process you can also see the process of rapid pad steam process. A rapid pad steam process is shown in this slide in which the cotton fibers are placed on the container and then it will goes towards the padding process and then rapid stamping is provided to the cotton fibers, then it goes towards the washing process. How we can overcome the drawbacks of rapid pad steam process? It has been found that an activated peroxide system can be formed with the addition of N4-triethyl ammonium ethyl benzoyl caprolactam chloride (TBCC) to H2O2 solution to generate 4-triethyl ammonium ethyl perbenzoic acid (TPA), allowing the establishment of a rapid pad steam process. So how we can establish a rapid pad steam process? To establish the rapid pad steam process, we need an activated peroxide system. And how we can form this activated peroxide system? We can form the activated peroxide system by the addition of TBCC to hydrogen peroxide solution H2O2 and by the addition of TBCC to hydrogen peroxide solution will generate the 4-triethyl ammonium methyl perbenzoic acid TPA. And when this TPA is generated, that will allow the establishment of rapid bed steam process. Sodium citrate was selected as the desired alkali for use in the rapid bed steam process to neutralize 4-triethyl ammonium methyl benzoic acid TPA released from the TBCC activated peroxide system. So in this process, we use an alkali for the rapid bed steam process, and this alkali will neutralize the system. So sodium stearase was selected as a desired alkali for this process, and it will neutralize the TBA that is released from the TBCC activated peroxide system. By shortening the steaming time to 4 minutes or less, the rapid bed steam process afforded enormous advantages over the conventional bed steam process in saving energy and increasing production efficiency. And also, the bleached cotton fabric underwent no apparent chemical damage and met the requirement for post time. So how we can overcome the drawbacks of the rapid bed steam process? We can overcome the drawbacks of rapid bed steam process by minimizing the time. So if time would be less, the process can be affordable, or we can achieve the advantages of this process by reducing the time. So if time is 4 minutes or less, the rapid bed steam process afforded enormous advantages over the conventional bed steam process, and this process would save energy by reducing the time, and it will also increase the production efficiency. So in this way, if the time is reduced, the bleached chemical cotton fabric underwent no apparent chemical damage. That will met the requirement for post time, and we can save the energy and the fabrics of cloth from bleaching effects. Assignments. Assignment number 1 is, what would be the effect of temperature on whitening process? Assignment number 2 is, what are the advantages of bed steam bleaching?